Hello, this is Blue Star, Defender of Equestria, and this is my next Focus On / character analysis video, Sunny vs Opaline. A comparison and contrast between the perfect heroine versus the most evil villain. I couldn't help but do basically a video comparing Sunny and Opaline in terms of their characters, as well as in some ways almost their magic and powers, because they're almost like the perfect heroine and villain to put against each other. On the one side, we have this incredible Earth pony who's basically spent her entire life trying to bring ponies together and make the world a better place, even while her entire town was against her. So, roar! And on the other side, we have this natural-born alicorn that's been around for millennia, but is almost pure evil. Instead of using her amazing alicorn powers for the good of every pony, she instead seizes their power and tries to put herself in charge of every pony. And in the end, chooses poorly. Nah. But of course, we are all responsible for our own decisions. They really are like the perfect pairing. They really are polar opposites, and that's what makes Opaline's attempts to sort of convince Sunny that, oh, she's just like her, so interesting, because Opaline's totally wrong. But at the same time, during Alicond, which in my opinion was one of the best episodes of this generation, particularly for Sunny, and perhaps even Opaline, that we see, the temptation that in some ways Opaline is offering her. Because Opaline is basically offering her something that I think on some level Sunny kind of wanted, that she wants the other ponies to like her and, be friends with her and stuff, and, not be the outcast that a lot of times that she was, because she's spent her entire life trying to, bring the ponies together, and that was something the other ponies were just, well, flat against, so that meant that she was, a lot of times, alone. Nah. Because, yeah, in this episode, we're reminded that the misfit pony sat next to the popular pony in school, so that had to be weird. So Opaline is trying to turn her to the dark side, if you will, because she thinks that Sunny wants the same thing that Opaline wants, which is to be praised, admired, feared. Very quickly, Opaline realizes that's totally not who Sunny is, because Sunny directly says that, no, I don't want that. But Opaline says to her, do you remember how it felt before? How no pony listened to you? How small you felt? And in some ways, do you really want to go back to that? Because if you don't listen to me, that's exactly what's going to happen. That was a very painful moment for Sunny, because, yes, I do. That episode was about a lot of things, but it was primarily about who Sunny's real friends were. And I think the thing that we kind of learned through this whole generation was you will always know who your real friends are by when you're running away, your real friends will run after you. It's not praise, admiration, and glory that she wants. She just wants to make the world a better place, and as long as she has her true friends to help her, she can change the world with that. So, roar! As opposed to Opaline, who basically realizes that, it was foolish of me to think that I could turn Sunny. She's not actually like her. She thinks that, she doesn't even understand what it means to be an alicorn, so, From Opaline's perspective, who almost feels like the classic aristocrat. Oh, I'm just so much better than every pony. They should just listen to me because I know better than them. Even though Opaline was raised by the same kind of alicorns that raised Celestia and Luna, who were two incredible princesses for Equestria, she goes down the dark path, and instead of being driven by just wanting to help and make the world a better place, instead is motivated by greed and envy. They were foolish enough to not respect me. Not only will I show them how amazing and great I was, but I'll prove it to them by taking all of their magic, and all shall bow before me. Oh no! I kind of feel bad for Opaline, because I'm almost sure that the way these events happened didn't quite happen the way that Opaline is describing them. And even if they did, I'm sure Celestia and Luna, if they knew what had happened, would be like, oh, we're sorry, we didn't want to make you feel this way. You know, how can we fix this? If not as kids, definitely as adults. It was feel like the alternate way to sort of resolve things with Opaline would have been for Celestia and Luna to come down and just, you know, talk it out with her, and they somehow resolve this. But unfortunately, that did not happen. And unfortunately for Opaline, as it does for most evil characters, things do not end well for her, because after attempting to seize all equestrian magic for herself, the Mate Six, the Equestria, the dragons, and in some ways almost the generations come together to stop Opaline. The tree steals her cutie mark. She's almost been given a choice. She could just turn around and run away and, you know, save herself, or she could chase after her cutie mark. In this case, not so much a symbol of her identity, but as almost an expression or the source of her power. It's more like she's running after a sword that's gone over a cliff, but instead she goes over the cliff with it. So in the end, she chooses poorly. And to contrast this with Sunny, who at the beginning of this confrontation with Opaline is doing the very classic, in some ways, good character thing of actually trying to turn Opaline from the dark side to the good side. We don't have to do this. We could live together in harmony. And I think that was a very generous thing for her to say, because after all, Opaline has just done all these terrible things. She's all but, you know, taken over Equestria at this point. She pretty much knew this wasn't going to work. But it was incredibly generous of her to do so, because she didn't have to. She could have just gone into quote-unquote attack mode and just tried to go, you know, full bore against Opaline. No, being the incredibly good and generous pony that she is, she's actually trying to give Opaline a chance, and like, I know all this stuff has happened between us, but you know what? We can still work this out, and we could all just live together in harmony and unity. I don't want us to be enemies. I want to work this out with you. I want you to turn from the dark path to the good side, and I want to see us all just be friends. I almost feel like that's kind of what Sunny is attempting to do, and would probably say if she had a chance to sort of elaborate or discuss this more with Opaline. But of course, being the incredibly evil pony that she doesn't have any interest in that, and from her perspective, she's holding all the cards. She just has to take Sunny's cutie mark, and she basically has it all, so and then Opaline attempts again to sort of turn Sunny to her side, because she is, after all, an alicorn, and I guess she would rather have Sunny on her side than be against her. And this time, Opaline attempts to do the classic quote-unquote bad guy thing of, you're no better than I am because you want the same thing I do, so you might as well just join me. Oh, you're not interested in power? Don't you collect magical artifacts and hide them behind all these magical protection spells in your lair? And oh, you seek knowledge. And what is knowledge? Power. But of course, that doesn't work on Sunny, because while Opaline is kind of right, is like, yes, they're collecting magical artifacts, but the thing is, they're doing it for completely different reasons. Opaline is collecting all these magical artifacts, not for Equestria's benefit, but for hers. It's so that she could gain even more magic on top of all the magic that she already has as a natural-born alicorn, as opposed to Sunny, who spent her entire life to bring all the ponies back together and bring magic back to Equestria. Not for her benefit, but for theirs. She doesn't get magic one way or the other. So in some ways, why should she do that? Why should she spend her entire life and have the whole town against her if she's not going to get magic? Because she cares. She just wants to see the ponies all together again and get the magic back that they, once had, and just be together and just be friends again. That's all she wants, which is why the crystals grant her these alicorn powers. Not just simply as a reward for a job well done, but because she really showed what it meant to be an alicorn. She went through all this effort, went through all of these things, not for her benefit, but for all of the ponies' benefit. So these alicorn powers, they're given to her in some ways as tools to continue what she's always been doing her entire life, which is to make the world a better place for all ponies, which is exactly what a good alicorn should do. So, this is why I love Opaline and Sunny. They truly are like polar opposites. We really do see how a good alicorn should be, and what an evil Alicorn is. That Sunny has been nothing but selfless and serving for her entire life, while as Opaline only served herself, and as someone once said, and in the end, herself is all she has. Which is why in the end, Opaline loses, because as Sunny says, I didn't face Opaline alone. You were all with me in my heart. Sunny stood before an incredibly evil Alicorn, but thanks to her friends and the magic of friendship, they were able to prevail. So, roar! I really do love the contrast between Sunny and Opaline. Even in their magical powers, it almost feels like Opaline has very offensive magic that's just like, I will laser this rock right in half, while Sunny's feels almost defensive in nature. Well, we don't really see her quote-unquote attacking per se, and even when she does, it's with the help of her friends. So, and even in some ways their quote-unquote outlooks on life, shall we say, they're almost polar opposite in that as well. Opaline believes, oh, I'm an Alicorn, I'm just better than every pony, so they should just listen to me because I know best. She's almost pessimistic in some ways, that the ponies are not capable of helping themselves, so she has to do it for them. Whereas Sunny is motivated by helping ponies to be better, not only for themselves, but for every pony. She becomes an Alicorn almost without realizing it, where it's just like, I just want to help! Ah! She believes in the ponies, she believes in unity, she believes that they can come together and make each other and their world a better place for every pony. So I really do love Sunny versus Opaline. They're just basically polar opposites in almost just every way. But that's what makes their characters and the ultimate confrontation so interesting, because it truly is good versus evil. Selfishness versus selflessness. You have to listen to me. I believe in you. Let's make the world a better place. And I thought Sunny and Opaline was just an incredible pairing, and this was an incredible confrontation that met in just such a wonderful way. It proves that the magic of friendship and or unity can truly overcome anything. Because individually we can't, but together we can. So, roar! So that is the end of my Focus On video of Sunny versus Opaline. So, I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you for commenting, liking, and subscribing, and until next time, this is Blue Star. Stay strong and pony on. Blue Star out.